"There's gold here," he said. The moon shone on the face of the Arab who had seized him, and in the man's eyes the boy saw death. "He's probably got more gold hidden in the ground." They made the boy continue digging, but he found nothing. As the sun rose, the man began to beat the boy. He was bruised and bleeding. His clothing was torn to shreds, and he felt that death was near. "What good is money if you're going to die? It's not often that money can save someone's life," the alchemist had said. Finally, the boy screamed at the men, "I'm digging for treasure," and although his mouth was bleeding and swollen, he told his attackers that he had twice dreamed of treasure hidden in the pyramids of Egypt. The man who appeared to be the leader of the group spoke to one of the others. "Leave him. He doesn't have anything else. He must have stolen this gold." The boy fell to the sand, nearly unconscious. The leader shook him and said, "We're leaving." But before they left, he came back to the boy and said, "You're not going to die. You live and you learn that a man shouldn't be so stupid. 2 years ago, right here on the spot, I had a recurrent dream too. I dreamed that I should travel to the fields of Spain and look for a ruined church where shepherds and their sheep slept. In my dream there was a sycamore growing out of the ruins of the sacristy, and I was told that if I dug the root of the sycamore, I would find a hidden treasure. But I'm not so stupid as to cross an entire desert just because of a recurrent dream." And they disappeared. The boy stood up shakily and looked once more at the pyramids. They seemed to laugh at him, and he laughed back, his heart bursting with joy, because now he knew where his treasure was. Epilogue. The boy reached the small abandoned church just as night was falling. The sycamore was still there in the sacristy, and the stars could still be seen through the half-destroyed roof. He remembered the time he had been there with his sheep. It had been a peaceful night, except for the dream. Now he was here not with his flock, but with a shovel. He sat looking at the sky for a long time. Then he took from his knapsack a bottle of wine and drank some. He remembered the night in the desert when he had sat with the alchemist as they looked at the stars and drank wine together. He thought of the many roads he had traveled, and of the strange way God had chosen to show him his treasure. If he hadn't believed in the significance of recurrent dreams, he would not have met the gypsy woman, the king, the thief, or, well, it's too long to list, but the path was written to the omens, and there was no way I could go wrong. He said no, he had said to himself. He fell asleep, and when he awoke, the sun was already high. He began to dig at the base of the sycamore. "You old sorcerer," the boy shouted up the sky. "You knew the whole story. You even left a bit of gold at the monastery so I could get back to this church." The monk laughed when he saw me come back in taters. "Couldn't you have saved me from that?" "No." He heard a voice on the wind say, "If I had told you, you wouldn't have seen the pyramids. They're beautiful, aren't they?" The boy smiled and continued digging. Half an hour later, his shovel hit something solid. An hour later, he had before him a chest of Spanish gold coins. There were also precious stones, gold masks adorned with red and white feathers, and stone statues embedded with jewels. The spoils of a conquest and that country had long ago forgotten, and that some conquistador had failed to tell his children about. The boy took out Urim and Thummim from his bag. He had used the two stones only once. One morning when he was at a marketplace, his life and his path had always provided him with enough omens. He placed Urim and Thummim in the chest. They were also a part of his new treasure, because they were a reminder of the old king, whom he would never see again. It's true, life really is generous to those who pursue their personal legend, the boy thought. When he remembered that he had to get to Tarifa so he could give 1/10 of his treasure to the gypsy woman as he had promised. Those gypsies are really smart, he thought. Maybe it was because they moved around so much. The wind began to blow again. It was the levanter, the wind that came from Africa. It didn't bring with it the smell of the desert nor the threat of a Moorish invasion. Instead, it brought the scent of a perfume he knew well, and the touch of a kiss that came from far away, slowly, slowly, until it rested on his lips. The boy smiled. It was the first time she had done that. "I'm coming, Fatima," he said. thank you very much for listening to the story. It was a interesting and long read. I hope whoever listens to this actually enjoyed listening to my voice. And I know this is not perfect, and I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to give new meanings and discover different boundaries myself, as I'm trying to also find my personal legend. My name is Wilson. You may call me Will, and I hope I can read many more books to you guys. And I'm hoping that sometime you guys can recommend me a book, or I could read another book that I have in my personal collection. Until then, I hope you enjoy this. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be using my voice for these recordings once again. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening and life.